What happens when a 40-ton truck stops braking? In that moment, every second becomes eternal. Gravity takes control, inertia pushes with unstoppable force, and the driver has only one chance to survive. There's no room for error. What happens when a truck's brakes fail? Today you'll discover what really happens when the brakes fail, how physics challenges engineering, and the extreme maneuvers that can turn an inevitable disaster into a survival feat on wheels. The moment everything fails. The sound of the engine roars as a truck weighing over 40 tons descends a steep mountain. The road curves at every turn, and the driver feels the giant he controls taking over the slope. He presses the brake hard, hoping the pedal will regain control, but it sinks without resistance. It's a blood-chilling moment. The truck doesn't respond. The machine that should stop tons seems to turn against its driver. When brakes fail, it's not just a broken part. It's a brutal struggle between physics and metal. Mass, inertia, and gravity conspire to test every reflex of the driver. Brakes don't shatter suddenly, like a glass falling from a table. First, they heat to levels the human eye can barely imagine. Then, pressure begins to give, pneumatic systems fatigue, and finally, the brake pads crystallize, becoming ineffective. There are signs that, although subtle, warn of disaster. A burning smell permeating the cabin, smoke rising from the wheels, or the air alarm blaring on the dashboard, like a desperate scream barely audible over the engine's roar. Every second feels eternal, and the question that pierces the driver's mind is inevitable. What happens inside a truck when the brakes fail? Why can a system designed to stop tons betray the one who needs it most? How the system should work when everything goes well. To understand the danger, we must first know the security logic behind a truck. The pneumatic brake system, which appears simple from the outside, is a precision framework designed to handle tons of steel and cargo. It functions like a coordinated organism. The compressor generates pressurized air stored in tanks throughout the vehicle. This air travels through valves and hoses to the brake chambers, known as rotochambers, where it applies force to the brakes. Interestingly, in this system, the air doesn't brake. It keeps the brake released. If the air fails for any reason, the internal springs activate and stop the truck automatically. It's a simple but vital principle, passive safety that activates when everything else fails. There are several types of brakes the driver can use, and each with its purpose. The service brake, the traditional pedal, engages the entire pneumatic system. The engine brake, also known as the Jake brake, turns the engine itself into a giant brake, creating resistance without needing to use the brake pads. Retarders, whether hydraulic or electric, generate controlled friction through oil or magnetic fields, helping to reduce speed without wearing down the main brakes. And we cannot forget the trailer brake, which allows braking the load only, relieving pressure on the tractor. The key idea is clear. A truck never relies on a single brake. It's full of redundant systems, designed to complement and protect the driver. But all these systems ultimately depend on one thing: the driver's skill and judgment, who must decide which brake to use and how to combine techniques to maintain control. Why brakes fail? The invisible causes. Although systems are sophisticated, the reality is that brakes can fail due to causes that seem minor at first glance, but collectively become lethal. One of the most common is overheating. When brake pads are in constant contact with drums or discs, friction generates extreme heat. As the temperature rises, friction decreases, and the pads may crystallize. From 300 to 400 degrees Celsius, metals and brake materials deform, completely losing their ability to stop the truck. Another critical factor is air leaks, which can occur in valves, rotochambers, or hoses. The pressure gauge drops and the alarm sounds, indicating pressure loss, and the emergency system begins to act. On a descent, this can be catastrophic because the automatic brake can't contain the mass of the truck and its trailer. Human errors also play a decisive role. Driving too fast on long descents, staying in high gears, or trying to coast by putting the truck in neutral are decisions that increase the likelihood of failure. Not using the engine brake, due to ignorance or negligence, turns a descent into a high-risk scenario. Poor maintenance worsens the outlook. Companies that don't check compressors, leaks, or emergency systems, and drivers who fail to report faults for fear of losing trips or pay create conditions where every small error multiplies. Each cause on its own is manageable. Combined, they turn into an almost inevitable disaster. How truck drivers attempt to save themselves. Real maneuvers and protocols. When brakes start to fail, the driver must act quickly, with precision and technical knowledge. One of the most effective maneuvers is intermittent braking. Apply the brake for 3 seconds and release it for 10, allowing the brake pads to cool before using them again. This simple technique can be the difference between stopping safely and causing an accident. The smart use of gears is equally vital. Downshifting allows for controlling engine revolutions without using the pedal, preventing brake overheating. Being in neutral or in the highest gear is a mistake many novice drivers make, increasing speed without resistance. Activating the engine brake to the maximum creates resistance using only the engine's internal compression. It doesn't consume fuel and reduces speed without wearing down the brake pads. On long descents, alternating between the engine brake, service brake, and trailer brake allows for a controlled distribution of the load, maintaining stability and safety. Recognizing early signs of failure is crucial. Burning smell, smoke from the wheels, low pressure, or air alarm should be interpreted as urgent warnings. Last resorts include seeking escape ramps, gravel, or sand paths designed to stop out-of-control vehicles. If there is no option, drastic decisions like hitting a berm or intentionally rolling over can save lives. There are documented cases of drivers who, facing brake failures, managed to stop their trucks using emergency ramps, avoiding tragedies on mountainous routes. Engineering for survival. Why trucks fail? Less today. The modern design of trucks and safety systems has drastically reduced incidents of brake failure. Emergency ramps are built with uphill gradients and compacted sand surfaces to absorb the kinetic energy of runaway vehicles. Ventilated disc brakes combined with hydraulic retarders allow extreme heat dissipation without losing efficiency, even on long descents. Onboard diagnostic systems monitor temperature, air pressure, and potential faults in brake chambers, alerting the driver before the failure becomes critical. In extreme environments, like mines, truck brakes can be as large as an entire car, capable of stopping 400 tons with control and precision. These innovations show that a brakeless truck is not simply a machine out of control. It's a testament to how physics can challenge technology, but also how engineering and driver expertise can sometimes overcome gravity and inertia, turning potentially deadly situations into examples of survival and mastery at the wheel. If you were surprised by what happens when a truck loses its brakes and how technique and engineering can save lives, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Every road is a challenge, every descent a test of skill. See you on the next journey, where strength, physics, and ingenuity meet face to face.